Well, topping this hour, a community in California outraged and calling for an investigation into the FBI, by the FBI into the police. This after an unarmed man was shot dead by police. Later, neighbors started to protest the police violence and authorities fired back. We showed you this disturbing video yesterday, but we're playing it again because the powerful pictures speak for themselves.
They just released the dog and I had my baby and my
Here you can see they're shooting rubber bullets and unleashed a dog which ran directly at a woman holding her baby, among other bystanders. Witnesses seem to be afraid for their lives. Now the community is demanding answers and calling for the officers responsible to be held accountable. For an update, RD correspondent Ramon Galindo joins us now live from Anaheim. Ramon, what more do we know?
Well, Liz, the city of Anaheim is home to the happiest place on earth, but today activists are calling this city a powder keg which is ready to explode following those two deadly officer-involved shootings over the weekend. Now, civil rights groups, as you mentioned, and even the mayor have called for a federal investigation into the police violence over the weekend. And we're here in front of City Hall where there will be another mass protest today, the fourth straight day of protests following the shootings. Now, this all started on Saturday when Manuel Cuevas, an unarmed Latino man, was shot and killed by police officers. As you mentioned in your intro, there was a spontaneous protest to this police shooting, and police responded by shooting pepper balls indiscriminately into that crowd, which included women and children. We've also seen some cell phone video surface of the moments after Cuevas was shot, which show him bleeding and handcuffed on the ground. Now, these videos have been very dramatic and instrumental, really stirring up emotions here in Southern California. Then on Sunday, another officer-involved shooting which proved to be deadly, another Latino man, Joel Acevedo. Now, those two shootings mark the 8th officer-involved shooting in 12 months here in the city of Anaheim. Like I said, it is the home of Disneyland, but many in this community say that this just points to a larger pattern of excessive force by the police, and these videos that are surfacing are really aiding to mobilize the community to speak out their frustrations with their relationship with the police.
And now there were reports that police were knocking on doors trying to obtain this incriminating video. Any word on that?
Well, definitely. We have been hearing anecdotal stories here and there that police were asking residents for video, and it sort of shows that the police are recognizing that the more and more that these videos surface, the more and more that the residents around Southern California are getting angry and getting frustrated. Now, this shooting has definitely given the community a sense of unity, and it's given people the courage to speak out and say, this has happened to me in the past. And like I said, they believe that this is part of a larger pattern, and they're hoping that the pressures that they're putting on by these protests, by these mass marches, will ultimately help keep a transparent investigation and make sure that justice is served.
And police have been saying that they were being provoked by protesters, and their violent response was in response to them being provoked. I guess they said protesters were throwing things at them. I mean, the pictures seem to show the contrary. Any word on that? I mean, the validity to that claim?
Well, that's right. In many instances where police use force, they have made the claim that it was the protesters which started throwing projectiles at them. But clearly, as we have seen in the videos, these crowds of protesters have been filled with families, have been filled with young children, with women. And the police and the video, which has been shown even on mainstream media outlets, clearly shows that police were shooting indiscriminately with those pepper balls. Now, we are also getting reports that there will be increased patrols, not just here in City Hall, but in those neighborhoods where the shootings have happened. So a lot of people in this community believe that the increased police presence is only going to heighten tensions between police officers and the community.
Now, what's controversial about this, Ramon, or a lot of controversy, but one of the elements of this is the fact that it did take place in a neighborhood that predominantly has minorities. How is that playing into the equation now?
No, definitely. Activists here, members of the community, definitely believe that it is a pattern where minority communities are being targeted. And what we've been hearing from a lot of people is that they don't want to speak up on camera because they are scared of retribution. So in many instances, these are communities where the residents don't speak Spanish or may have questionable immigration statuses. So they have that fear of stepping forward. Even today, there's plenty of fear that they will be harassed by police. The mother of one of the victims say that she's been harassed by police since the shooting happened. So there's definitely an intimidation factor that these communities are feeling. However, now that these instances of violence are being caught on camera, different communities are banding together, and victims are beginning to get that courage to speak out about what they've seen.
And what do we know, Ramon, about the police officers that are accused of pulling the trigger, especially in relation to that man that died as a result? What do we know about the police officers that are kind of coming under fire right now?
Well, that's right, Liz. The two officers which were involved in the shooting on Saturday have been placed on leave. Now, the police department has not released too many details on that shooting, and that is part of what is angering members of here in the community. Now, besides asking for justice and accountability, they also want transparency. Even the mayor himself says that if the police is starting to lose trust in its community, which it is supposed to protect. So right now there's very little transparency, but we do know that two police officers have been placed on leave. However, they are still being paid by the police department.
Now, I know that some members of the community are calling for the FBI to conduct an investigation into the police department. Any word if that is going to happen?
Right. Civil rights groups and the mayor have both asked for federal assistance in trying to figure out what was going on and to find out if this is truly part of a systemic problem here in Anaheim. Now, we have seen similar probes in other California cities, including LA County. We've seen it in cities such as Seattle, where the force and civil rights abuses are being investigated by federal investigators. So far, they have not announced an official investigation here, but there's definitely a lot of pressure being put on.
Ramon, thank you so much for keeping us updated over there in Anaheim. That was RT producer Ramon Galindo.